Welcome back, you guys, to some more college football on Beat the Odds Checker. I'm Katelyn Heffler, along with Jason and Alex. Guys, how are we today? How was our weekend? Watching some great games. How are you?
I'm great, except my NFL team lost the other day with the Steelers, and my alma mater almost lost to Illinois on Friday, and my hometown college team did lose to Western Michigan on Saturday. So in terms of the football results, I've had better weekends, but I'm excited to be here with both of you.
I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, so every weekend is we don't even pay attention to it anymore.
Why do you do yourself to that? Why do you do that to yourself?
It's at this point, it's just it. I think they are putting themselves through it, and I'm aware that they are doing so.
Fair.
That's the relationship now.
A lot of heartbreak in the relationship. All right. Well, let's get started. You guys, there were a few upsets this week that I want to start off talking about. UCLA, Fresno State with the upset win. How did we feel about that game? We didn't place any bets on that game, did we?
I think we were not in on that game. Obviously, wish we would have been Fresno money line. I feel really good about Fresno State this year. We have to recognize our own L's after a weekend when we went 3-4 and missed our pick of the week as well. I think Fresno is really good, and that was a futures bet for me before the year over, I think, like 6 or 7 wins, which felt really low. Almost beat Oregon. They are almost 2-0 in the Pac-12, which is pretty good given that they're a Mountain West team. I think you can go a very far way in that conference with a running back, a receiver, and a quarterback, and they have all three of them. So go Fresno.
Alex, I like you going royal third person with your results there.
We try.
that we do. It's solid weekend for me. I was up. I think I went 3-2. It's good enough. We'll take it over 500 on the year and hit the pick of the week thanks to the Texas A&M Aggies. So yeah, the win totals are coming along decently. Wyoming over, looking fine. LSU, UNC under, looking fine there. We don't need to talk about the Northwestern over. That's
unnecessary today. All right, well, let's get into some picks for this week, guys. And then at the end of this video, we always do our pick of the week. So stay tuned throughout the entire video.
Yeah, fair enough. So I'll start with a weeknight game, Marshall and Appalachian State. I have Marshall +9 in Boone in this game. I think Marshall's pretty good. They did lose to East Carolina this week, but I am cautiously thinking that ECU might just not be as bad as they've been the last couple of years. And like that win, like that loss for Marshall might not look as bad as it looked in the immediate moment of it happening. 9 is just a lot of points for App to be laying. I think that this is a Conference USA championship contender in Marshall. App has played decently well and certainly has a good result against a common opponent in ECU who App beat in week 1. But 9 just feels like a lot based on every analytic metric system I've looked at, and I don't see why Marshall should be that far in the hole as an underdog in that game.
Let me run through. I think if I run through 3 real quick, then we will then be even for the rest of the way. Arizona versus Oregon. Arizona, I got them at -27.5. That number's moving around a little bit. We have here one of the 10 best teams in FBS against quite possibly one of the 10 worst teams, only laying 4 touchdowns at home. Okay. I also have North Texas +12 against Louisiana Tech. I don't have a lot to say about it. 12's a pretty big number. And let me get this line has moved around a good bit. There's a lot of opinions on this one. Mizzou at Boston College, an extremely 2007 game. I'll take Boston College +2 points. BC has been the better team so far, albeit against like the easiest schedule imaginable. And they have some quarterback injury situations, but I see, probably a good amount of points being scored. And if you're giving me points for the home team, sure.
I don't think BC's played UConn yet, so I don't think you can say it's the easiest schedule imaginable, but your point is taken. I'm also on the Arizona-Oregon game. I got Oregon at -28, not as good a number as you did. I also have the over there at 58.5. I anticipate Oregon doing basically all of the heavy lifting there in terms of scoring points. If Arizona could chip in 7 or 10 or 14, that would be very nice. But I think that Oregon could get, well into the 40s in this game, given how bad Arizona's defense appears to be. And it feels like an opportunity for there to be kind of a a points bonanza where Joe Moorhead shows off for the soon-to-be vacant Pitt head coaching job. So into that and into a lot of points being scored in that game.
It sounds like some wishful thinking there, Alex.
A little bit.
Give me Buffalo -11 against Old Dominion. Old Dominion might have the worst non-UConn defense in FBS and offense, and their defense isn't a whole lot better. Meanwhile, Buffalo looked pretty good last week against Coastal Carolina. Almost pulled it out, in fact.
They almost pulled it out. It was also a backdoor cover in a way. Coastal was covering, which okay. I was kind of hoping that it would stay that way.
I understand.
Whatever. But yeah.
Something like 30-14 wouldn't surprise me here. Let's go Buffalo.
Yeah, I have Rutgers in Michigan -19 at the Big House. Michigan is 3-0 against the spread. And Katelyn and Jason, if I was to give you a little bit of trivia, by how many points per game do you think Michigan is covering in its first 3 games of this season?
September Michigan is running rampant.
Absolutely. Michigan is covering by 19 points per game so far. I think that Rutgers is certainly better than the Rutgers that we all like to joke around on in the late 2010s. They are much better than the Chris Ash version. But SP Plus, a favored analytic system of mine, says that this should be like a 22-point spread in the Big House. 19 seems like a bargain to me, even with Rutgers being 3-0. I believe in Michigan's defense, and you know what? I'm not going to say I believe in Michigan's offense because this is going to be public on the internet and people could look that up later and throw it back at me. But I am starting to believe in Michigan's offense a little bit.
You can believe in Michigan's running game, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Speaking of running games, K-State versus Oklahoma State, meaning K-State plus 8 points. The Wildcats relied on the ground game in their first game without quarterback Skylar Thompson, and they beat Vegas by 23 points last week against Nevada. That's a double win over Nevada, in fact. I don't think Oklahoma State's run defense has really been tested to this point, though it's looked promising. I think if a healthy K-State, I'd be totally fine taking them straight up, to be quite honest. But once, account for injuries and both teams having to adjust, plus 8 points, that sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I got a couple of plays here involving a different K-State, that being Kent State playing against Maryland. I lost a bet on Maryland -9 last weekend. I'm going to ride back with them, though, at -14 at home in this game, and I'm going to go under 66.5 here. I really like Kent State's offense, generally speaking. I think Dustin Crum's one of the best quarterbacks in the G5, but I do not know that they're going to find a ton of points against what is a weirdly good Maryland defense with a lot of really good defensive backs. I think Kent State is going to sit back in zones, and Talia Tagovailoa is going to throw for quite a few yards and probably some touchdowns in this game. Bit of a hedge because I think if we go over, I think that means Maryland is almost definitely covering because I just don't think that Kent State can get enough stops. But I'm going to go Maryland and the under in this game and see if the Terps can keep it orderly.
It's time to get disorderly because I'm betting on the Tennessee Volunteers.
Oh, no.
Ugh. They are getting 3 touchdowns against Florida. All right. Tennessee is, I think they're like possibly the most average team in FBS. It's not what you want out of the balls, but Florida, top 10 team. I think this spread should be just a bit smaller. Most analytic systems would have it between 15 to 18. And that's without accounting for the Gators. Just had to go 3 hours against Bama. And that wasn't a game where they got to play the first half and then sort of log off. It was an entire effort against Alabama. Florida's got to be a little bit weary. And the Vols have had a little bit of bad turnover luck this year. 40-20 Florida win cashes for me. I'll take it.
Fair enough. We did make fun of you last week for betting on UMass, and they did cover. So that's, I guess I can't yell at you over Tennessee. Fair enough. Katelyn, I got a pick of the week. You got a pick of the week?
Yeah, but before we go into that, I have a pick of the week, and I also have a Alabama pick. But I got to talk about Alabama in that game. What was it? 2 days ago? I don't even know what day it is. But anyways, rough game. I had a coworker come up to me at the beginning of the game when Alabama was up by, I don't know, a lot of points. And he was, saying, oh, trouble in the dynasty today, huh? And I was like, oh, no, we're all good, This game is flying by. Alabama's got it. I was so wrong. Totally jinxed that game. Pete Golding, he needs to leave. He either needs to stay in Gainesville or he needs to leave Alabama. I mean, rough game. I'm not going to lie. I was sweating the whole rest of the game. But I'm going to take Alabama -45, play Southern Miss this weekend. You know what? I'm just feeling it. I don't know an Alabama pick. But okay, after that,
Respect.
Guys.
Respect.
Katelyn likes big numbers, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Big spreads, huge numbers.
I like the bold picks. Gotta take a risk.
Also, she's undefeated on these, so
yeah, I'm
big number this week.
You're doing very well on these. It's noted.
My theory just works, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's get down to those picks of the week.
Yeah, so I am struggling in the pick of the week department. I am a bit above 500 overall in these videos. I'm 11-9. This is the fourth one we've done. That's right on the edge of the profit zone. I feel fine in general, but I'm 1-3 on picks of the week. The ones that I have felt best about have not been hitting, and I hope that that turns this week because I am on Liberty -6.5 against the Syracuse Orange. Not super stoked to be backing Liberty really in any way, but the thing is, I don't think Syracuse is particularly good. I think they're one of the worst teams in the Power 5. And I think that odds makers have just not caught up to Liberty at all. They were 9-2 against the spread last year. They are 3-0 against the spread this year. They've been covering by 4 points a game, so it's not even a particularly narrow margin by which they've been covering. I don't get why, because the secret is out that Malik Willis is a really good quarterback and that Liberty has some great talent on offense, and that despite Hugh Freeze being Hugh Freeze, they can score some points. I think they should win this game by a touchdown plus. And this is, of course, a real Jason kind of sequel to the famous Hugh Freeze in his hospital bed waving down to Dino Babers on the field in 2018 or 2019. So, I'm sure that this time you can't even account for how good Liberty's going to be if Hugh Freeze is standing up and on the sideline rather than in a hospital bed with what I'm sure was a very real and not at all exaggerated ailment that he had at that time.
Oh, yeah. Win one for Hugh the Gipper Freeze. Yeah. Both of those equally authentic stories, by the way.
Yes.
For mine, I am joining the big number cover team, Georgia -32.5 against Vanderbilt. Here's the explanation. This is possibly the best team in the country. They're playing a team outside the top 100. That's it. That's it.
Okay. Katelyn, where are we going this week?
Okay, well, UCLA Stanford game, even though UCLA had the upset loss, I'm taking UCLA -6. So we'll see how that one goes. But I'm excited.
Let's do it. Let's ride.
All right, guys. Well, those are our picks and our picks of the week. Catch you guys next week. Hopefully we have a great weekend with these picks. This is Beat the Odds College Football Edition on Odds Checker.